Hello everyone, welcome to the 120 Q&A practice. We're going to start out with our transcript that we've been working on about the boy that gets bit by the dog. And this is going to be plaintiff questioning. Ready? But you and Josh were in the kitchen, correct? Yes. And then from the kitchen, did you guys go into the family room? No, we stayed in the kitchen. Okay, and then who told Josh that Daniel had been bitten? No one. He knew when he came inside the house and he was on the floor and saw his leg. So at some point in the kitchen, you guys went into the family room? No, we went from the family room into the kitchen. Okay, so you went into the family room first? Yeah. And that's when Josh saw Daniel? Yes. Was that the first time Josh knew Daniel had been bitten? Yes. Was that the first time that you knew Daniel had been bitten? Yes. Was that the first time that you saw any blood on Daniel? Yes. No. You saw blood on Daniel before then? Uh-huh. When was that? When he always gets scraped and scratched. When he tries to do stunts on his bike, he falls off and... Okay, but for the incident that happened on July 1st, when was the first time you saw blood on Daniel? Yes. Let me ask it again. You remember, were you inside the house when you first saw blood on Daniel? Yes. And that was the first time you saw the blood? Uh-huh, yes. Nothing further. Was that the first time you knew he had been bitten by the dog? Yes. When you walk home from school, who else walks home with you? Sometimes I walk home by myself, and sometimes Daniel and Josh and Jessica walk home with me. The times you walk by yourself, do you ever walk past dogs? No, I always take the long way. The long way? There's no dogs on that path? Well, there is, but I always like where the dogs are. I know where the dogs are, so I cut around the other side. Then when I go down this way and past the dogs, I turn that way. When you say the other side, are you saying the other side of the street? No, the other side of where the dogs are. I walk through the alleys and past the dogs, and then I get back into the street and I start walking straight. So the long way is that you walk through an alley? No, I walk in the street. But wherever there is a dog, I go through the alleyway and I turn down to pass the dogs. You walk through? Is it a residential area? There's homes? Yeah. And there's homes on both sides of the street? Yes. Normally you walk in the street? Yes. And that's to avoid the dogs? Yes. No, he said he goes through the alleyways to avoid the dogs. I thought he said through the streets too. No, the alleys. How about when you're with your brothers and sister? We just walk the long. We just go this way by our school. Walk down this way. Go straight. We just go straight down the road. Do you take the long way? Yeah, sometimes we take the long way. Sometimes we take the shortcut. Just walk down through there. Okay, I'm going to switch transcripts to a little bit more challenging one. And on this next one, you are going to hear cameraman and photography. Okay. All right. This is going to be plaintiff attorney. Ready? There were 2 cameras there, right? One was a camera belonging to the special effects people. That's right. Which was under the direction of Mr. Roberts. He was operating the camera. He was the director of photography for that camera. Mr. Roberts was the operating cameraman of that camera for the special effects department. That's right. Now, was your camera being used in any way? No. Where was your cameraman and your camera located at the time that these trips were being made? Wait a minute. You said, where was my cameraman? You had a cameraman, operative cameraman? Yes, but he wasn't operating. I appreciate that, but where was he? I don't recall where he was. Where were you? I was sitting in back of the camera on the right-hand side. Where was Mr. Sanders? I don't remember. He was in the vicinity. How far from him were you? I was on the other side. I was just a little bit off center of the camera. I wasn't directly in back of the camera. I was to the right so that I could see what was going on. Okay, and we'll switch transcripts again. Okay, it looks like defense will be questioning. Ready? Officer Girk, did you ever indicate at any time that it would be beneficial to Mr. Heron's welfare? Strike that. Did you ever indicate to Mr. Heron that it was a good idea for him to turn himself in and get this matter cleared up? No, sir, I did not. Did you ever indicate to him what the penalties for robbery were? Yes, sir, I did. What did you advise him? I advised him that armed robbery was the second most serious crime in the California Penal Code. It carries a sentence of 5 years to life. He stated he still wanted to talk to you after you told him that. This was after I had already spoken with him. Did you discuss the matter of penalties with him before the time when he made a statement to you? No, sir. Did you ever indicate to him when an attorney would be provided for him? No, sir. Did you ever advise him that he had the right to make a telephone call right away to phone an attorney if he desired to do so? He was advised of his rights. Did you ever advise him of the right to make a phone call right away? Objection irrelevant. Sustained. On the grounds it's not relevant to voluntariness. Yes, it would seem to me if you are going to talk to an officer and give up the right to have an attorney, that should be an intelligent decision only after full advisement of how immediate these rights are. whether or not they attach at this point in time or some later point in time. The court doesn't know of any such right. I believe that in Miranda, the court stated that the person has a right to have an attorney present throughout any questioning if he desires to talk to the police with the assistance of counsel. That right was acknowledged by the witness, but not in the form in which counsel has suggested in his question. The right to have one present before any questions are asked implies that he has the right to have one now, so that particular area is solved. You indicated that Mr. Heron stated to you that this matter of pulling the robbery had been discussed by himself, by Billy and Steve. Is that correct? Yes, sir. He said Steve had an idea of where a good place might be to pull such a robbery? Yes, sir. After Steve had made that comment, they went to this location. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Did he say that they had definitely decided to commit a robbery at that place, or did it depend upon certain contingencies? They didn't state. They stated they had discussed pulling a robbery. They also indicated they didn't want to pull a robbery with customers inside. Is that correct? Yes, sir. They also didn't want to pull a robbery unless there was a fair amount of money to be gotten. Is that correct? They didn't state any certain amount of money. They wanted to check and see how much money was in the register. Okay, and that concludes our 120 Q&A practice. Have a great day.